So my name is Chantel. I run a toddler football business. I run that for just over 6 years now. So we focus on teaching children to play football, learn through play, from 16 months up to the age of 6 years. We've been getting on really well. We've opened up various locations, but I just kind of found that we was getting at a bit of a standstill. So we was kind of just getting comfortable, which was fine, but we wasn't really moving anywhere. So we have just under 400 children now, and I saw one of the ads for the Scale to Freedom Accelerator course, which is where I started with Katie. I attended that. I had a phone call with Katie as well. She's lovely, really friendly. I've had various coaches in the past for different things, mindset, business and fitness. But in terms of business, Katie is the one for us. Obviously, she specialises in children's activity for business owners turning over 6 figures. So she ticked every box for us. It made complete sense for us to sign up to her. So during the 15-minute chat with Katie before signing up, I got on really well with her. I explained the business. She completely understood, which is something that I haven't had from other coaches before. They've always found it really fun and exciting, but then they've given us ideas, but they're not necessarily ideas we can implement because they don't actually have the skill set. Katie does have that. She's been doing this for, I think, just under 20 years now. So I've been working for Katie for the last few months. A lot of what she said on our call, I could completely relate to. It's stuff that I'd thought about and things that I'd wanted to do with the business, just hadn't pushed forward with it. So since working with Katie, we've been able to make loads of changes, get new people on board to help us improve the business, but also improve it a little bit quicker, such as like Facebook ads. It isn't really a speciality of mine, so I stopped doing it, but we've now got someone on doing that. I do a lot of manual work in terms of spreadsheets and chasing parents. We've now got a virtual assistant on board. So it's allowing me to create some of that white space that Katie calls, to put my time and energy into more exciting bits of the business, but also expand it. So the aim is to obviously get the numbers from the just under 400 mark, but to boost them right up. And I just feel with Katie's help and support, that's something that we're going to be able to do. I'm already noticing that the numbers are growing just because I'm doing extra little bits within the business. I kind of feel like I have that extra energy. I've got a bit more of a buzz about the business now. And it isn't just about Katie as well. I'm sure she won't mind me saying, but there's a great group of people within the team. So obviously there's me as a toddler football. There's a lot of other business owners, gymnastics, theatre, dance, other football clubs. So you can catch up with those as well. So you'll get your one-to-one calls with Katie, which are amazing. I always leave feeling absolutely buzzing, albeit a little bit drained because I get so excited on them and I leave with so many things that I want to do and put into place. But that is a positive problem to have. And then you get your group sessions as well with the team, so you can hear any highs and lows that they're going through at the minute. You can help them, they can help you. So it's really good, really positive. If you're looking to make that next change in your business and you want to grow a little bit quicker, a little bit bigger, but you're just not really sure where to do it or how to do it, I'd 100% recommend the course. Katie's lovely. The other people in the course are lovely as well. I'm often reaching out to them as well. Yes, if you need a coach and you've got a children's activity business, Katie, I'd say she's the coach for you. So yeah, good luck, sign up. What are you waiting for?
run a theatre school business for children called Stepping Out Stars of Tomorrow, hence the bowler hat and the show pictures in the background. I've had my school for 15 years and absolutely love doing what I do, and I've had several business coaches through that period, but I just felt with Katie that I really connected to her. She was really lovely on the phone. I felt that she had a wealth of experience which would really help me take my business to the next level. And that's not to say that the coaches that I'd had before weren't great, because they really were, but I really like the fact that Katie's mentorship had lots of different children's activities in it. And I think it's fantastic that I can learn from football coaches or rugby coaches. It's not just about dance and performing arts. And that was something that really struck a chord with me. I've been in the membership for the last couple of months, and I've really enjoyed the time that I have already started to implement some of the amazing things that Katie has suggested. The first being bringing an extra 55,000 into my business, which could be fantastic if that comes off. So yeah, I'm really super happy and really recommend the CEO membership. It's great.
Hi, my name is Amy Schweizer, founder and director of Tiny Troop Soccer. I'm so excited to join Katie in the Gold Medal Coaching Program. On our intensive day, Katie was kind enough to allow my director of operations as well as my assistant director to join us. We had 4 hours of one-on-one personalized coaching that was directly for our business. Katie is the first professional that I've come across that is focused on children's activities business. So that is what first drew us to her. After taking her Scale to Freedom Accelerator, I knew that this would be a great fit, and the Focus Day just completely solidified that. We're excited to work on our marketing programs as well as our affiliate locations. I'm excited to see what Katie has in store and how my business is going to grow. Thank you.
So far, and it's been amazing. She is a wealth of information, and she's very down to earth, straight to the point, and will tell you the truth. So one of the first things that made an immediate difference for me was my change in prices. I was planning, I think I started a little bit before May, and I was planning on doing a price increase in September, because that's when I usually do my, what we call my annual calendar. And she was like, why wait? Do it now, especially going into summer, which is when a lot of times we'll have a lot of drops. And fortunately, I am happy to report that it made sense to me. I was encouraged to do, or my assignment was to do market research to see basically, that I'm not charging too low nor too high. And then from there, I decided on a price, and we talked through some different things. I can say that when I went into summer, I did not feel like, oh my gosh, it actually helps me to maintain. There were actually only a few drops, and that was another advice that was given, was like, hey, don't make a big announcement about, hey, what are you going to do for summer? And that made a huge difference. And so, yeah, just those 2 things alone, raising the prices, doing market research sooner than later, going into the slower season, kept me afloat. And I'm looking forward to more of working with Katie. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie Cannon former 5-time British gymnastics champion turned 7-figure entrepreneur in this industry. Welcome. We're about to get started for our accelerator program. And I just wanted to share with you, it's always really important to know who exactly you're learning from. And one thing you're going to be in for a hell of a treat this week. We're going to be teaching you really great business strategies to really scale your brand. We're going to be teaching you, one thing I'm very passionate on is teaching you timeless business principles. They're going to serve you for not just today, but in years and years to come. Not just a quick wins or a quick strategy. That's not going to build a 6-figure plus business. Whatever your goal is, you need the deep-rooted strategies. So I just wanted to do a little bit of an intro on my background and how I can serve you today, and very much kind of the results that our community and what you can expect to start learning and expect to start implementing. One of the things that we are big on at Gold Medal is really supporting you from the ground up, and I do that because I've worked at every level possible. I've been in this industry for over 20 years. I was a brand new startup business. You name it, I've done it. We've had a franchise model across 100 schools across the London area. We've done the village halls, the schools. We've done own premises. We've rented space. You name it, we have done it. But the biggest thing is I'm still in the industry today. I've made a lot of mistakes. And that is one of the reasons, quite honestly, why Gold Medal exists today, because you're not just learning from 20 years of experience, you're also learning from in the trenches what's working today. So I still have big teams today, my own facilities today, and you're learning what's working, but also from 20 years of experience. You're going to see one of the things that we are going to be doing that we're big on is holding your hand. We're nurturing you to success. We're teaching you to build a champion business, hence why we're called Gold Medal Business. We're going to be working with you to really delve deep in your leadership, your mindset, as well as the key core principles that are going to really support you to build your brand today so that you can scale to the level that you want. In our community, our clients are hitting some really great student numbers, some really great marketing results. But one of the biggest things is they're being able to step out their businesses. They're not exhausted. They've got time freedom. They're then in multiple different avenues within different businesses because they have the time and the freedom, and they've learned how to create one business to maybe $500,000, $1 million, depends what their goal was. But they now have the skills to then be able to duplicate. So you're in for a right treat. Get ready as we're literally about to start. Welcome and good evening to day 3 of our Thrive and Grow for 2025 masterclass this week. If you haven't got your videos on, if you're tuning in on Zoom, thank you so much, Paul and Yvonne. I can see your gorgeous smiley faces this evening. Yeah. Lisa, pop your camera on if you can. I can also see we're welcoming all across our live stream. So we've got Billy, we've got Sam, we've got Amelia. I think that's an Amelia I can see. We got a Ben. Amazing. Lots of names coming up here. So if you see me pointing in different directions, I am looking at multiple different screens. We're zooming in on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're into our Facebook group. We're on Zoom. And we're also in our Facebook page as well. So we like to give people as multiple different ways to absorb their content, just in case everybody has different preferences where they like to view their training. So during our call today, guys, if you're on Zoom and you need support, always saying key things like booking a call and to support you further, put it in the chat box. If you're in Instagram, drop us a DM. And if you're on Facebook and YouTube, just pop it into the comments. So we're on day 3. It whizzes by. Our masterclass, we think we're together for 5 days. And it goes super, super quick. Recapping for you, if you haven't been with us from day 1, day 2, I know we've had some latecomers that have joined us late yesterday and haven't managed to watch day 1 and day 2. Do not worry. All the replays are being put up into the Facebook community. You saw as you were joining, this was put up onto live streams and onto the Zoom in the left-hand corner. The code on the barcode to join our Facebook group. But Glia, my gorgeous assistant, Glia, can you just put our Facebook community link in our on our live streams, please, and pop it into our chat box on Zoom as well, just in case you haven't yet joined our Facebook group. It's a wealth of knowledge, it's a wealth of experience within there on a day-to-day basis. As I said, all the replays go in there, but lots of resources on a day-to-day basis go into that group as well. So before we get cracking onto our trainings today, I just want to share our last opportunity for this week. If you haven't yet booked your 20-minute growth call with myself and my team, I said we've got very few spaces left. We're pretty much booked up this week, but I know we're now booking into next week as we've opened up a few more slots. So if you need support with that, it has been sent, the booking link to your email. It is in the Facebook group, but if you need that as well, Glia, can you also pop the link into the chat box and onto our live streams as well? As I said, been saying all this week, there is power in customization. The big difference of where you're going to move the needle is where you have that customization and that individualization. That is a reason why you hear me and you've seen, sometimes you feel like we're saying the same things again and again, but that is really, really what I see makes the biggest difference in the people that are making big steps forwards, because it is the individualization and it's on the eyeballs on your business and seeing things that you're not seeing when you're in your business 24/7. So, as a bit of a recap, day one, we covered doubling your productivity. Day two, we really covered supersizing your student numbers. And today, we're going to be covering building your dream team to decrease stress and increase your profitability. So all of the days build on each other, and remembering within your workbook that you're filling out the notes, taking one thing from each day. You don't need to be writing a ton of notes that you never look at. My main focus and mission for you this week is to come away with 1 or 2 action points that will actually make a difference in your business and you can start to implement rather than feeling overwhelmed. When you're overwhelmed, procrastination kicks in and we end up doing nothing. So without further ado, the road to freedom in your business, and I've been saying all week, our mission at Gold Medal is not to create business owners in the children's activity space. It's to create CEOs, because your vision, you got into business, not everyone, I said everybody has a different vision, but you got into business because you want to create a lifestyle for yourself and your family, whether that is a certain income level, whether it's a time level, whether it's to own your own time, whether it's to travel when you want, whatever is important to you. You started your business for a reason, but very often 10, maybe 15 years down the line, depending how established you are, it hasn't quite always turned out as you may want it to have been, because the day-to-day can drag us down. We're maybe been burnt a couple of times, maybe team with systems, with processes, with ventures that didn't work, and we lose the vision of where we set out initially. But the key with your team, and the reason I wanted to bring this in before we go on to the key points today, is the road to freedom in your business is your team. And I say that because good, like 5-6 years into business, like we've all done at times, and if you're brand new, you will, no matter how good you are, and even with all the systems and processes that I teach you, you're working with humans when you're building your team. You're always going to have ups and you're always going to have downs, but you can decrease the stress with the right systems and making sure you're doing it as best as you possibly can. In the early days of business, I made some really bad hires. And looking back now, my goodness, I don't think they'd even reach a video interview with us. But in the early days, they got the job. And you know, when you have people in your team and you're like, oh my gosh, you're thinking, I need to get rid of them, but what is the best way to get rid of them? And they're not the person we need now. You've grown, because your organization is always growing. There'll be at times when you outgrow people and you're like, they were fine. I had someone that left my company 12 months ago. Thank goodness they went on their own accord, because they just weren't good enough anymore. They were driving mine and my team bananas. They were a fantastic coach, but they just didn't have the quality anymore that we were looking for. They just couldn't keep up with the speed that the company was growing with. And they couldn't cope with the amount of volume of children that were now in classes, because they'd been with me for 8 years. And when they started, some of our classes had 5 or 6 kids in, where now there's 24 or 30, depending what class. So this person left on their own accord, thank goodness, because it was going to be a very tricky road for me to have to go through to make sure I do it legally and find another position for them, because they'd been with me for so long. But this particular person said it was really hard. We had just outgrown them as an organization. And I always think when you are employing someone, always you want to think, or vice versa, that switch it the other way. When you're looking at someone thinking they're not working out, and you're feeling like, oh, do I need to find another position? How can I put them in? Oh, but they're really good at this. And, 60% of the time they're okay. And then the 40% of the time they're not. Always ask yourself this question: would I employ them again today? If they walked into my office, would I employ them today? And if the answer is no, then you know what you need to do. Making sure you do it. I said, this is not HR advice. You have contracts in place. You have to make sure you do it in the legal way and treat them fairly. You can't just be like, sorry, I don't need you anymore. You'll get in big trouble if you do that. You have to go through the right steps to make sure you treat them fairly. But there's many people in my company over the last 17, 18 years that I think, I wouldn't employ them again, because I'm a different entrepreneur. I'm a different leader than I was 16 years ago. I'm looking for different things, and it will be the same with you. So your road to freedom is within your team. And I'm sharing that little experience with you because in the very early days, I got burnt. I put people in the wrong positions. They messed up classes. They lost students. And I thought, you know what? Katie will save the day, and I can do it much better. I will do it because then I'm not going to mess it up. But what that does, I jumped back in. Katie saved the day. But what did that do? My time is absorbed again. I then had not much time to move forwards. Paul and Yvonne, I work with a company called Croner, Croner. We're not affiliated with them or anything, but we do all our health and safety with them, and we also they do all our HR. It's like having HR in your company, but they're freelancing. So Croner, Croner. It's over N-E-R or N-O-R, Croner. But they're a freelance company, but they're fantastic. And it really covers your back for sure to make sure you've ticked every single box. So when you're building your freedom team, there were many times I said that I jumped back into the business that I shouldn't have, because then what did it do? It absorbed my time. I then took 6 steps back again. And for me, it wasn't till I had my second child that I got very strict with this. And I wish I'd done it sooner, which is why this is such a key part of our masterclass, because I knew I couldn't keep saving the day and Katie stepping in with staff members that weren't quite up to speed. So this is why everything that I'm teaching today, we started to put these foundations in place, because for you to be really strict about what we covered on day 1 and day 2, you need to protect your CEO mentality and your CEO time that we went through on day 1 you need to protect it like your life depends on it. Because if you don't, your business is not going to grow. And I really, truly believe when I look back, I slowed my growth by about 2 or 3 years by making these sort of mistakes with team. So no matter if you've got burnt in the past, you have to get over your experience with team. Otherwise, you're never going to get that freedom. You can always be a one-man band. You can maybe be a 5-man band. But if you want to grow, you've got to master your team and how to build. So number one, when you're looking at your team, I want you to get really crystal clear on which roles are what. You need to be splitting your roles for maximum efficiency output. And how to do this, you want to make sure you've got a bum on seat in all of these areas of operations in your children's activity business. Sales, admin, marketing, training, instructors, and accounts. I'm going to say that again. Sales, admin, marketing, training, instructors, and accounts. I see so often in this industry, children's activity businesses not having a sales team. Absolutely ludicrous and insane when I see businesses that haven't got that. Now, in the early days, I didn't have that either. But about year 5 or 6, through mentorship and coaching of the masterminds that I was under, I built sales team in my organization. So often we have a sales and an admin person that is doing everything. I remember in the early days, my admin and salesperson, you name it, she was doing it. She was calling trials. She was enrolling trials. She was enrolling new members. She was also moving children up classes. She was also ordering leotards and t-shirts. She was also dealing with staff. She was also reaching out to primary schools, dealing with our whole school operation. You name it, she did it. Dealing with complaints, dealing with general emails from parents, dealing with cancellations. So often we put that role under one umbrella. But sales and admin is a very different skill set. And when you really get your mind around this, this is when you start to see numbers fly. Because when you start getting your mind in the place of this person's going to be enrolling 100 new trials a month, if you have capacity for that in your center, if you don't, the role might look slightly different, or you may be looking at building another center, another class, another franchise, depending where you're at in your business. But in the very early days, this will be one role as you build out. So if you are literally 50 students or under, or even just under 100, you can get away with one person because your business hasn't grown to that level yet. As you're getting busier, and you will know this, you will know when your admin salesperson is overworked, when you find that they're not getting through the amount of leads, where they're not enrolling people as quick as they need to be. You will then see, okay, we need to have that second person. So when I'm in my gyms, I have people on the phone who are ringing. Their main role is trials. That is all they're doing. Their main role is enrolling trials and enrolling new members. The admin department is completely separate. Their role isn't to enroll. Their role is cancellations, complaints, general administration, moving children up, sending email communication about different things going on, promoting events within the center. Excuse me. So you can see the roles are very different. Now, when you create super high level focus with one person, and remember what we've been talking about this week, you need that person to be in their zone of genius. So think of what we're training on this week. You can very much bring in the main attributes. You, the CEO, needs to be in your zone of genius that we talked about on Monday. So does your team. And when you get them in their zone of genius, it's very much to say, this is your main role, this is what you're doing, you will then get maximum efficiency and maximum output. You will limit the confusion, you will increase the work that they're doing in terms of results, you will limit overwhelm, and you will create clarity. Whenever people leave us or people are unhappy in their workplace, it's normally the role has got, and there's so many organizations out there. You could just take the school environment for one. You've got school teachers at the minute doing hundreds of roles in what they should be doing, because they're so badly staffed in schools at the moment with the education like it is. So, and that's just taken one environment. So it's looking at thinking, we don't want to overwhelm them too much. We want to get as maximum capacity in the role that they're doing to make sure they're hitting the results and they're also happy in their role. So a good way to do this is an organization chart, and literally just put sales, admin, marketing, training, instructors, and accounts. And you've got to get a bum on seat for each of those. As I said, in the early days, you might have 2 or 3 people doing the same thing, and that's fine. But in the next 6 months, you may be able to fill another one of those roles. You then might be able to fill another one of those roles. And remember, these don't always have to be full-time roles. So for accounts, for example, that's going to be freelance. That's your bookkeeper. That's your accountant. They doesn't have to be sitting right next to you in the office. Ours are completely freelanced out, but that's still their department. Instructors, obviously, that's your training team. That's your head coaches, your academy leaders, your preschool coaches, your recreational coaches, your assistants, your apprentices, whatever you like to call them in your organization. Your training department, that is who is training your team. Your instructors are not training your team. Who is training them? For us, it's our main center managers that then train our team, because they're not training all the classes. They do a particular amount, but they're not training all the classes. Their main role is to make sure new staff coming in are happy, are well trained up, have been given the time to absorb their role and not just thrown in and here's 25 kids, off you go. Let's hope for the best, cross our fingers. It was like that in the early days, for sure. And we didn't have people survive. The tough cookies did, yeah, tough cookies did. Everyone, I can see you laughing in your head because I'm sure you've had a good few of these. The tough ones, you're like, yeah, they're last. But some they can't cope with it. And especially, I'm sorry, the new generation coming through, they're not as tough. They really are not. So it's like you need to give them the softness stepping through, making sure they're well and trained up, making sure they've had all the syllabus training, making sure they know your mission, your brand, that they know the team. It's so important. And that was a role for us that came last in our organization. So if you're sitting here as a new-ish entrepreneur, maybe you're a couple of years in, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't have all these roles. You may think, in the next 2 years, my goal is to have someone in that position in my company. I encourage you that every 6 months, you fill a position. And just like I said yesterday, when we were talking about our mentorship with our gold level program, you will never be ready. You will never have the money to invest in mentorship. You will never maybe sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. You may not feel ready to invest in a member of staff. But there's a reason you are where you are, and there's a reason you're not where you want to be. The difference is the gap in knowledge. Thinking about with a team member, if you haven't got enough sales, but you're doing it by yourself, the reason you haven't got enough sales is because if you actually had a dedicated person that their only role was sales, your numbers are going to go through the roof, because at the minute you're doing multiple different jobs. There's not enough time gone into those sales. So you want to be investing in your team before you need them. Because if you wait till you're so 100% ready, you're stagnating your growth. And I call it, you're like bottlenecking your business, because you're growing on what you feel comfortable with. And if you grow on the level of, now I'm really comfortable to make this decision, you're growing a lot slower. And that's why every time you want to make a decision in your business, whatever it is, you want to be making it for a feeling of, I'm 80% sure, but I'm 20% scared. Great. I want you to be scared, because you're pushing yourself. You're out that comfort zone. You're on that skinny branch. And that is what is going to really push your business forward. So number one, as I said, is splitting those roles for maximum efficiency to make sure you're keeping people in their zone of genius. Okay. Number 2, I then want you to position your key players in the right position when you analyze their key strengths. Now, so often, and again, in the early days, goodness me, I did this. It was like, I'm looking for someone to do my administration and sales. I'm looking for a parent. And oh, these are great working hours because they work around 9 till 3, they work around the children's school. They were a parent, they ticked that box, they could do the hours, they ticked that box. Were they good at administration? Was their grammar great on emails? Well, did they have a great telephone voice? Some of them were good, some of them were not. But I wanted a parent. You don't always have to do this. This is a preference. But all of our sales and admin people are parents because they can connect straight away with the parents on the phone. And I have found that the ones that have been most successful are, they can relate, they can get into their language very, very quickly, as opposed to, I have had people that were not parents, and they were maybe didn't understand what they meant, or they weren't as, there was not much empathy at times. And it's not to say you have to follow that model. We've just found the most successful. We've had some of our best sales and admin people that have been like, PTAs. They're like running some of the school. They're working on the fundraising because they're organized, they're sharp, they're fast, and they're really good at communication. So that's just a bit of feedback we've had. And I've worked with probably about 7, 8 different sales and admin people over the last sort of 15 and 16 years. So you want to make sure you're playing to their key strengths. So I mean that in the sense of, you don't just want to pull someone in and be like, oh, you tick a box because you're a parent, and you tick a box because you can work these hours. But I want to know, are they a parent? But I want to see what they're like on the phone. I want to see their communication. I want to see how good they are on, IT and just going through the basic computer skills. Because you will be surprised out there that some people may say, oh, but I hate the phone. Well, this is really not the role for you if you hate the phone. Don't try to make a position because you don't want to lose someone, or you think, oh, but they're not going to, what they're going to say no if I say they got to be on the phone. It's okay. I will do the phone for now, and you do this role. Whoa, give me a wave or give me a shout out on socials if you've done that. I've created roles for people that I think, I don't want to lose them. Absolutely don't want to lose them. It's okay. I'll take a bit of the pressure off. But what that does is I've still got the job. That hasn't come off that's not on my delegation schedule. Katie's still got her name there. So you want to make sure they're the perfect person. You give them the whole role, or you don't do it, because it will bite you in the bum later and you will regret it. Then you've got that person doing half a job. So making sure you've got them in the right positions. Now, how do you do this with your current team if you're sitting there thinking, I've got people in the wrong positions? You ask them, what do they enjoy the most about their job? What do they think their strengths are? So, for example, and you can always do a maneuver and move people around. If someone says to you, and they're in admin, for example, I love the phone, I love speaking to parents on a day-to-day basis, then that is shouting out to me, sales. If you've got someone that you're expecting them on the phone, and you're thinking they're not making enough phone calls, or they're really quiet on the phone, they don't come across very confident, even though I've trained them a lot. You could think, you can have that conversation. They might say, but I really hate the phone. And you're like, it's okay. Thank you for telling me that. Why don't we restructure your role and put you completely in administration? You may have someone who's center manager. I made this mistake when I was completely trying to replace me in the business. About 4 years ago, I hired a center manager. She was a fantastic coach. Could not take that away from her. My goodness, she couldn't lead to save a life. She was a great coach, and she was a great head coach or even an assistant. But I wanted her to be me in the company. I expected her to teach, to lead the team, to speak to the parents. But I didn't interview her as a center manager. I interviewed her very much how I would interview a coach. Our interview process that we now teach in our gold mentorship is insanely different from level to level, what you're looking for, the questions you ask, how you present yourself, because how we interview an apprentice or an assistant is very different to a leader that we're looking for. The interview process is very, very different because we're looking for completely different things. So when I didn't get the results from this particular person, I only had myself to blame, quite frankly. I couldn't blame her. She was a great coach. She just wasn't interviewed for the role correctly. So she is a prime example. I had her in the wrong position. She just wanted to be a coach. So we restructured her role, took her out of the centre manager role, and she's now a great assistant. So you may have to do a little bit of reshuffling, but you won't know until you ask them, what do you think your key strengths are? What do you love doing? If you were not paid, don't get them scared. You're going to keep paying them. But just say, hypothetically, if you were doing this role completely for free, what part of your role could you do all day long? Yeah. And then you'll get there and they'll have to think about it. They'll probably be a bit sure, oh, never been asked that. But then you'll be like, they will come and say, but I just love teaching the little ones. I love teaching the preschoolers. That is my zone of genius. I've got one of my team members. She's a preschool director. She could teach those little ones all day long. I go to her class with baby Josh and I'm like, oh my gosh, great idea. Oh my gosh, I've never seen that set up before. So good, because that's her zone of genius. Her zone of genius is not the high level. She can teach the squads, but it's not her zone of genius. She's still very good at it, but she doesn't absolutely adore it. Okay. So number one is making sure you're splitting roles for maximum efficiency. Number two is positioning your key players in the right positions. Number three, I then want you to look at how you're leading your team. So making sure that you are delegating, but you're not advocating, meaning that you're setting them up successfully. You're not breathing down their back, literally, as they're sitting, doing their job. You're not that helicopter manager and you're like, oh, how are you getting on over there? Oh, have you done that piece for me yet? Oh, I've just noticed it's 9:30 and you've only sent 2 emails. Yeah, that's annoying. It will drive you mad. And what's the point? You're still doing that role. So making sure you're delegating, but you're not advocating. You're making sure they're doing that role, but you've still got hands on deck. Setting up a weekly meeting. Monday is I have an hour of core meetings with my core team. I'm not in meetings all day. I hate a meeting, quite frankly. I think they're a waste of time, unless it's very strategic and it's like 10, 15 minutes long. You don't want to be in a meeting to come out with a long list of meeting things to do. The whole idea is to be in a meeting to delegate out and for everyone to know exactly what they're getting on with. Your meetings don't need to be more than 15 minutes unless you feel there's more to discuss that week. You might move on to the next week and go, do you know what? Let's move that on to a 30-minute meeting because I feel we need to dig deep more into this. So with all my core leaders, I will have a 15-minute meeting and remember what I talked about on Monday with your P1s, your P2s and your P3s, they come to the meeting with what needs to be discussed. I know in my head if there's key things that I'm not happy with or I'm not seeing, but most of the time they bring it up because they know their roles, quite frankly, better than I do because they're in it day to day. I'm not. So I'm expecting them to lead the meeting. I've delegated it out to them, but I'm keeping an interest and I'm ensuring I'm giving them the support that they need if they're coming back with different feedback. So you're completely entrusted, and it takes time, guys, on this. I'm 16 years in of building gyms, and believe me, I have gone through so many different structures on this. So you will go through, and it can take up to 3 to 5 years to build your executive team. 3 to 5 years is your executive team. You might be lucky and build it in 12 months. I certainly wasn't. 3 to 5 years. And that is a team that I know if I went out the country for 6 months, my business would thrive because I have the key people in place. So it's taken me time. I've gone through quite a few people to get them. but I know they know their positions inside out, back to front. And if I'm not there in a week, I'm not getting questions to me because they can run their role. And that is my executive team. And as I said, my core leaders. So give it time, because when you're truly trying to find those magic unicorns, it takes time, and you will go through a few before you find that right person and that core team that really understand the vision, the leadership, what's in it for them, the career development that it can give them, where the company's going. So that's why I say my main role in my children's activity brand, I'm the visionary, I'm the leadership, I'm the cheerleader. They then delegate out and do all the main roles. So my main role is to keep the energy up here. I'm not moaning. I don't come in. I'm not moaning to anyone. I'm a solution-driven entrepreneur. My main role is to hear them out and go, okay, great, what are we going to do about it? They're not going to hear me be like, oh my God, it's so bad. And my job, even if it is, my job is to keep it up here, to keep the team at that level. Okay. Because if you, the CEO, can't do that, and if you've got bad days, please don't show it in your organization. You want to be the radiator when you walk in, not the drain, because people are looking up to you. So leading your team is super important, that you are delegating correctly. You're not the helicopter manager and you're feeling like you're having to hold their hand all the time. As I said, it will take time to build that trust and for them to develop their role. But if you're doing number 1 and 2 correctly, that we've gone through today, by splitting roles and by making sure you've got people in the key positions, over time, you will see this build out. Why? They're in their zone of genius. They're doing what comes naturally to them. They're doing what they love to do. Of course, there's going to be parts in the role that they don't like. But if you can get an 80-20 split, 80% in their zone of genius and what they're loving on a day-to-day, 20% not so much, you've got it right. Okay. Just like you as a CEO, 80-20 split. 80% will be building the business. 20% you're working in it, moving things around. That is absolutely fine. Okay. So we've done splitting roles. We've done positioning your key players, leading your team. And then number 4, very similar to number 1, what we talked about on Monday, is very much positioning yourself in the right place and making sure you're in the right zone of genius for you. As I said, it's repetitive. I've been talking about it a lot because I want to drive the message home. If you're doing this work on your team, please make sure that you are the priority in your business, that you are the one that is in the zone of genius yourself. And that is the exercises that we did together on Monday, where you're really looking at your week, you're planning out what makes you happy, what doesn't, what do you love in the business, what do you don't. So make sure that you don't do all of this for your team and then you're the one like, oh my God, I hate what I'm doing every day. Why have I given them all these great positions and now I'm feeling like I'm picking up the crap off the floor? So making sure that you are in your zone of genius, because when you get a team of leaders that are all working in what they really love to do, and they know the mission of the company, and they believe in what you're doing for you and all your children that come to your service, you will build a booming team. And your freedom, like I started today, your freedom in your business is 1 billion% in your team. It's the hardest to get right, but when you get it right, and you will always be working on it, you will really start to get a taste of what it is to build a team that can grow with and without you. I really saw this in my businesses within the last 12 to 18 months. I have said, I work 3 days, but we're busier than we've ever been. I have a lot of time with the children. I pick up, drop her school. I pick up from school. I'm off in every single holiday. It wasn't like that, always like that in the last couple of years. But I've made sure by putting the energy and the time, by keep recruiting, keep turning over those leaves. Where are they? Where are these magic people? And now when you build that executive team, I now have a real taste of multiple businesses with a lot of freedom myself, with a fantastic team, and ensuring that I'm in my zone of genius on a day-to-day. So when I'm working what I know is moving the needle forwards for my clients and for the growth of our businesses. As I said, 16 years in. So I want to share that with inspiration, because if someone, I really wish I'd known what I'm teaching you now in the first couple of years in business, because I really believe I could have carved off 5 years of my learning curve for sure, but coulda, woulda, shoulda, hey? So I am generally, that's why Gold Medal exists today, because a good 3 or 4 years ago, I was constantly being asked these questions on how we've done this, how we've done these systems, how we've worked our syllabus, how we're generating the student numbers we've built, how we're building a team like we are. And that is exactly why Gold Medal exists today. So I want to take this opportunity. You saw us launch our flagship our gold mentorship yesterday, which is our premium product in the children's activity space, which gives you a hybrid support of group coaching mixed with one-to-one coaching. You saw me when I said yesterday, this is for you. If you've been present, whether you're on Zoom, whether you're in our live stream, or whether we've got so many people watching the replays this week. If you are serious about growth, you're very serious about making 2025 different, whether it is to give you more time, and you need to build those strong foundations for your team. Maybe it's to have taking less stress off your plate. Maybe you're needing more help with generating better cash flow and different income streams for your business to really turn the dial on your turnover and your profit. Maybe it's more time for you with your family. You've built a business that you're like, I've got a good business. It's not what I thought it was going to be. It's not giving me the time, the freedom to travel, whatever you desire. Maybe you're wanting you've got your business to a certain level and you're really needing that extra support because you may feel stuck. Every level I see entrepreneurs getting stuck at. I normally see people stuck at 100,000. I then normally see people stuck around 300,000 a year. I then see people stuck around 600,000 a year. And then you think you got it all sorted, but you'll get stuck at the million mark, because getting your business to there, it then becomes a very different business. So at every level, you may feel that you've got yourself as far as you can. You then need, and you'll feel this in your business when you feel like you're procrastinating and nothing's really moving forward. So you're kind of stuck at the same figures. You're needing that fresh level of inspiration, that injection of brand new ideas, whether it's for you as a CEO or your team or everything combined. So if anything I've said this evening really resonates and you're like, do you know what? I need to make a difference for 2025. Apply for our Gold Premium Mentorship Program. Put a message in the chat. Reach out to my team, info@goldmedalcoaching.info, or drop us a message on Facebook. One of the great things we've got at the minute, you would have seen our bonus launch yesterday. For anyone who rolls in our Gold Premium Mentorship before Tuesday, you get 10 hours of free support with my team. This in itself is gold dust. You get access to my team of VAs, my team of Facebook ad specialists, our website designers, that you can really engage in and really see how you can use their support to grow your brand. Because you need an army. They always say it takes a village to build it, to bring up children. Your business needs an army. So definitely, if our CEO and our mentorship is for you at the gold level, we do offer lower levels. And if you want to look at our different options, please reach out to our team. And that's why our 20-minute call is there for you, so that you can really find out which one is for you, because there is something for all different levels for your business. So I look forward to being with you tomorrow, where we're going to move on to day 4, where we're looking at seamless sales systems, which you're going to love, because as I said, they all are building on each other and bringing all the systems that we've talked about this week and all the different elements together. So it's been an honor being with you, whether you're on Zoom, whether you're on streaming on our different platforms. It's been an honor being with you this evening, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, which one you absolutely do want to miss, because building your seamless sales systems is going to start to jigsaw everything together. So have a wonderful evening, morning or afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.